So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this beautiful journey. This event is part of a huge Agentforce tour organized by different kinds of different uh, Tableau user groups, and many thanks to our community for helping us to organize such events for our communities, local communities. And today I have my colleagues from Salesforce with me, Tim and Alex. Thank you guys for joining us today. We are going to talk about Tableau, Headless BI, of course, Agentforce, and how to drive seamless embedded analytics. I will give a really quick introduction to Agentforce, and then my colleagues will continue with the main topic of today's event. Tableau and Agentforce. First of all, I'd like to thank our Tableau community members, Zainab and June, who helped us to create this nice presentation that I'm going to use today. And our Tableau community is growing faster and faster, I would like to say. We already have 30K plus members in all of our user groups. All of us have this access to many free resources, also the help of many professionals from different sides of the world. All of this, thanks to this huge community that we have created together. So thank you, everyone. To start with our today's topic, currently as developed as the analytics is, we still have some challenges remain. We have insights that are overlooked or sometimes ignored. We have not trusted data by our users. We have large and fragmented data landscape. And of course, us as analysts are sometimes drawn in our tasks. And against this, we have the promise of today's AI analytics, which promises us proactive and instant insights, real-time data, Q&A, trusted data, and always-on inspection data analytics. But these two aspects, unfortunately, have some gap today. And how can we close this gap, and how can we overcome the challenges that we face today? Of course, we can overcome this challenge with the help of the new Tableau and, first of all, Agentforce. It's a digital labor platform created by Salesforce. It's agent-based platform which helps us to drive customer success across Salesforce platform and more. It's trusted, it's easy to deploy, it has humans in the loop, zero hold time, it's integrated, and of course it's open, API based. So how Tableau and Agentforce meet, and how these two platforms can help us to face our challenges and overcome them. We have these two platforms bring AI analytics to every team and workflow, from marketing to HR to finance to sales and so on and so far. With the help of Agentforce, we can have and Tableau, of course, we can have our data always inspected. We can have trusted Q&A. We can have our advanced analytics and more easy analytics, and of course we can easily create new apps based on this data. So how we have got to this idea and how it works? There are pre-built analytics skills in the Tableau with the help of Agentforce. We have Data Pro, we have Concierge, we have Inspector, and of course we have these analytical apps that are created more easily. We can prepare and visualize our data more easily by saving most of our time. We always have our trusted questions, trusted answers to our data related questions. We are always in the top of our data, and we know what's going on in our data with the help of our inspector. And as I've already mentioned, we can create our analytical apps in more easy way and everywhere in every platform that we use. Here I have a very nice demo of our colleague presented. So it's wrapped up all the like in a quite quick video, short video. It wrapped up everything that I said, and it would be nice so to watch this today. Just tell me if anything is wrong with the audio.
In this last demo, I want to pull it all together for you and show you how Tableau Agent can help me build an insightful, incredible, and action-driven by Agentforce analytical app. So here are all the assets that I've already created thanks to Tableau Agent. I've done things like prep flows, models, everything. And now what I want to do is call Tableau Agent, ask it a very simple question. I want an analytical app. And it comes back immediately with best practices and information about that. I can preview the dashboard. Once I preview the dashboard, I can add a couple of adjustments. I'll go in here, I'll take impressions out, I'll flip this over here, and then I'll create it. And now I've got something for the street team, performance team. But I don't want to stop there. I want Agentforce. I need agents to do work for me. So I'll just simply click here. I'll see here that I can add an action, which is an agent. I'll go ahead and add that. Come in here and look for a Workday agent. This looks great. I want to preview the flow. This shows everything the agent's going to do. Incredible, all automated. I come back here to the street performance team. This looks great. I'll go ahead and save it. Now that I've saved it, I want to preview it and test my Agentforce agent. I'll come over here, click into this box right here. I will see that here's my agent ready to go, recommend strategy. Tableau agent comes back and says, hey, would you like to actually accept these suggestions thanks to Agentforce? I'll go ahead and do that. And I am all set working inside of Workday, all thanks to Agentforce and Tableau Agent.
So this quick demo showed us how easily we can get to a work done, which was done previously took from an hour to eternity. And we can save many time. And of course, we are always on the top of our data. Now I will ask my colleagues to continue today's main topic about Headless BI and how to drive seamless embedded analytics.
Great, thank you.
I will stop my screen for now.
Yep, thank you very much. Let's bring my screen up. And okay, now you can see the infinite loop. So I have to make a comment. So one thing that called very much my attention, nothing to do with the topic of the session, is that so many people in this call have surnames ending in YAN. And I had no idea. Apologies for my ignorance about Armenian last names. And Tim found this link. So as a data-driven person, yeah, I'm definitely going to read more about the significance of the surname. Yeah, really cool. So welcome everyone to this session. So yeah, we're going to be talking, as Anna said, about Headless BI, Agentforce. And one thing I want to comment though and mention in the beginning is that what you've seen in the demo is really cool and amazing. We are all looking forward. It's all about what's coming ahead with the new Tableau and the Agentforce, which is native, right, to the new Tableau. and all the cool things that we saw there is amazing. Some clients will prefer to stay with the current Tableau. I mean, we're going to be developing both products, and what we're going to be showing is the work Tim and I and our team have been doing to integrate the current Tableau with Headless BI, which is our headless BI, as it says. So you don't have to have the front end. It's just literally an API to help you get data from your current Tableau investments, your data sources, and bring it to life, right? And you can use in Agentforce if you want. You can use on your own applications. You can use in Excel. Yeah, so we're going to be showing a few things that we showed at the DataFam London conference a couple of months ago. And yeah, some new things. So a little bit about us. I'm a principal solution engineer based in London, UK. I've been at Tableau for over 9 years now. So yeah, close to 10. And yeah, working in several roles, like partner, solution engineer, or helping clients just become data driven, and more recently helping customers build products with Tableau. We talk about embedded analytics. And with me, we have Tim Payne, who is one of the most talented, if not the most talented guy on the team. Maybe, yeah, you want to do some intro?
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, so my name's Tim Payne. Been at Tableau for, I think it's just over 6 years now. So we've got pretty good tenure between both Alex and myself. And yeah, I've only been working with embedded solutions while being at Tableau. And realistically, what that means is we get involved with all the geeky API questions, all the new stuff that comes out. We get our hands on in the tech more so than potentially, you know, what you would standardly think about solution engineers at Tableau. So, you know, I would say the same for Alex. I think our team is particularly talented at that sort of thing. So, yeah, what you'll see today from both of us, hopefully, is a good bit of geeking around, but hopefully there'll be a lot of really good content that you can take and use with you.
Indeed. Let's do it then. And again, yeah, super thank you for you guys for making Tableau amazing. The community is everything. It's what makes this really what makes our job really fun. Because we know you guys are also geeky, right? You also like to get hands-on, and some of you work with the API, some of you just build visualizations or do some funky things. So yeah, let's see what we can do together today. Right, so we are going to be talking about some future things. We have to always show this slide, as you know, so they'll make purchase decisions based on what we're going to be showing. Even Headless BI is not fully released. It's coming in a few weeks, and things may change what we're showing now from what we're showing now. With that, so the agenda, what is Headless BI, why we think it's cool and so important, and really enabling use cases it enables. So that powered by the VSQL data service, Tim will kind of introduce the concepts of what's our VSQL data service, what's the API on top, and how we actually leverage this in Agentforce, and why this is so cool, and why this is so different from the Tableau agent, you know, inside the web authoring experience, right? That you can write questions and it builds visualizations for you inside web authoring in Tableau. So we can take that experience and put it anywhere with Agentforce and Headless BI together. So it's really awesome. Right, so over to you, Tim. You want to, by the way?
Yes, can you stop sharing Esky and I shall pick that up. Brilliant. And let me see if I can share my correct screen. Excellent. So yeah, as Alex said, I'm going to introduce you to Headless BI because we kind of need to ground everything we're doing today in a sort of basic understanding of what this actually is. So the business definition for Headless BI is an approach to business intelligence where the data and the semantic model are decoupled from the visualization layer. Now, we also need to be able to access that model. So behind this, we've got a programmatically access to that with an API. And it just helps us unleash the data that kind of is trapped within Tableau to use in any different way. So when most people think about surfacing insights with Tableau, we generally sort of think about building a visualization. And with a viz, the user performs operations like you drag the pills to the rows or columns. It fetches the data from the data source and it creates a visualization. I want to talk about decoupling. It's those two things that we're breaking apart, the fetching of the data and the creating of visualization. So to achieve that programmatic access, we use Tableau's new VisQL data service, and that allows us to connect directly to Tableau's data sources. So we know that you've probably invested a lot of time and resource into defining those data sources within Tableau, and that's what we're going to be using to unlock those sort of sources of truth in completely different ways with Headless BI. So let's sort of push right back to basics. And I'm going to start with one of probably the most underrated, unsung hero features of Tableau, and that's the published data source. And if you aren't already a big user of published data sources, I hope that this session will actually change your thinking about them. If you are super familiar with them, then kind of, you'll probably know most of this stuff anyway, but it's really good as a recap just to sort of ground ourselves. But kind of when we think about a published data source, it's a bit of a misleading name really, because it's not the raw underlying data sources like you have in Snowflake and SQL. It's actually sort of an abstraction layer on top of that. And it is the place that houses all the data modeling actions. So the data steward or data analyst takes time to build out that data model, and it encompasses all the things you do in Tableau, from connecting to one or more various types of data sources, relating them, building calculations, creating hierarchies, so on and so forth. And that gets captured into the published data source so that when somebody else wants to consume it, they don't have to go and recreate all of those data modeling steps. They just need to focus putting the pills on the shelves to get the analysis you need. Now, I'm sure at some point you've heard of Tableau's secret sauce called VisQL. What is VisQL? I don't have time in this session to talk about the specifics of what VisQL is, but it's basically this power that we're sort of talking about. And it's the ability to take the pills that you've dragged and turn that into an SQL query to get the information you need, accounting for all the data modeling decisions that were baked into that published data source. So imagine opening up the power of that so that any workload can take advantage of it. More on that a little bit later. So another great benefit of the published data source is they allow multiple workbooks, each asking and answering different questions, to be built off that same published data source without having to recreate the models for each new workbook analysis. So you kind of instantaneously get benefits of reusability, shareability, control, and governance. And more recently, we've now got Pulse, which is another feature that interacts directly with that published data source layer. And it's a great example of how published data sources are evolving to sort of become that common data layer for Tableau. Now, Pulse is a whole new feature. It has nothing to do with workbooks and the traditional way of building vises. And instead, it connects directly to that published data source and is powered by the underlying modeling semantics that that data analyst or the data steward has created for them. So this is our current state when we think about Tableau. The published data source layer is great, but the one sort of major limitation, it only works within the confines of Tableau itself. Workbooks can leverage it, Pulse can leverage it, and obviously that's clearly very powerful. After all, you can embed Tableau vises and metrics in custom apps. So there's a fair bit of flexibility already there, but that's kind of largely where it ends. So what if we could push that boundary a bit? And what if we could take all of those curated models with their dialed-in relationships, complex calculations that you've invested a lot of time perfecting, and reuse them in other contexts? So like I was saying earlier, you don't have to figure out how to write the equivalent SQL that Tableau is already generating for you. And this is where the VisQL data service comes in. And this is the VisQL data service enables that programmatic access to the data inside your published data sources. So you build apps that leverage the cleaned up semantics you've already built. It lets you query for data in more simple ways, and lets Tableau handle the nitty gritty of figuring out the exact SQL query it's going to send to the underlying data, which also means it helps ensure that the data that surfaces in your custom applications is exactly the same as the data that shows up in your existing dashboards reports. So with VDS, you can reuse your investments in Tableau models to power any number of different scenarios. And the output from VDS can be used directly in custom applications. Basically, any application that needs to retrieve data from a backend database is a potential scenario for VisQL data service. So these Tableau models can be plumbed into existing business processes and line of business apps. For imagine integrate into a point of sale application. VDS can play a big role in embedding. You can use it alongside our existing embedded toolkit to further enhance the types of experience you can deliver. Data scientists can leverage these refined models as inputs to their machine learning and statistical work. And with a bit of coding, you can generate data frames for data science solutions that ensure any machine learning work is leveraging the already cleaned up models that exist in your published data source. And of course, those data models can also form part of generative AI solutions, allowing customers to build their own solutions, and as we will see, using agentic solutions and Agentforce at the same time. So there's so much more we can sort of think about how we can use VDS. We're kind of just scratching the surface with some of those ideas, but kind of the tagline I always think for the sort of the Headless BI Foundation is model once and use anywhere. So really, that is sort of the fundamentals of how we're using that published data source and why we're sort of doing that. So the Visual Data Service really does allow for quick access to your data models, which can empower developers to drive efficiency, expedite analysis without having to resort to that manual data extraction layer. And it really does allow us to break free from the viz and bring that analytical power of the data sort of anywhere. So now we've had the grounding in sort of what Headless BI is and how it sort of works with Tableau, I'm going to hand over to Alex, and he's going to take you through a couple of examples.
Amazing. All right, let's share my screen. This one. Yeah, so really the sky is the limit. I mean, this is an API. You can do anything you want. So I'm going to show you some use cases here, but I want this to hopefully spark your imagination, and I can't help to see what you guys are going to be building in the future. Just to start, really easy and cool. I mean, there's an obvious use case people might be thinking about is how do we bring Tableau data into spreadsheets, right? So here's an example of how we brought. So I have a data source from a company that sells bicycles, electric bicycles, e-bikes. And let's say I wanted to do my analysis in Excel because maybe I don't have a Tableau license or something like that. So yeah, so what we did is we wrapped up the Tableau Headless BI API right here into a function Tableau data, and I'm pretty much pointing to the data source. Again, what Tim said, the data source is what powers everything. So there's semantic model there, and I'm just saying what I want. I want to see the product name. I want to see the total sales, sum of sales, count of orders, and the average discounts we gave. So pretty much like that, we're passing here the fields I want. We quickly get some data back. And let's say we want to break this down by date and get a more detailed view. So I'm just going to copy this on the right-hand side here and say, I also want to have this broken down by date. And I need to specify that I don't need to be aggregating on the date. It's just the date field. Yeah, so I have a field called date with small caps. And if this is working, hopefully the demo gods will give me data back. Come on. There we go. Yeah. So what's cool about the API is that it does the aggregation for you, right? Previously in the first view, the level of detail for folks who know Tableau, we always presenting data and aggregating at the level of detail. This is the product, the level of detail. So this is the total sum by product. Now we are doing a sum by actually hour here or day. Yeah, day by day and product, right? So sum of sales. If I don't want to see the sum of sales, I want to see the average, then I can just change here my function. And yeah, so and this is pretty much, it's super fast. You're seeing like a quick query, we're going to get the data back. And I can do some calculations now. I can do maybe the average sales times the discount. This is going to be 0 in this case. Yeah, there we go. So it just works, right? So you could do it here in Google Sheets, which uses some sort of JavaScript-based approach to write code. If you are familiar with Excel, you can write Visual Basic and make the same call. So yeah, just to warm up, that's a little cool use case you can implement very easily today. For the next example, though, I'm going to show how you could take this data and enhance the user experience for people who are accessing Tableau embedded on any application. So again, let's say we work on a company that sells bicycles. We sell those electric bicycles. Everybody loves them. And I might have a product explorer here. So this is a website, nothing to do with Tableau, just to set the scene. And I might be looking at the products I'm selling. And yeah, those are the different products I have in stock with all the details and so on, so I can filter and all that. Again, it's just a website, a cool website. But let's say I want to know more about my bikes from an analytical perspective. I want to know which ones are selling the most, which ones are actually having problems and people are complaining. So that's where embedded analytics that we and teams seem to focus a lot of time, our time comes into play. We can show the web portal data alongside Tableau visualizations to provide that next level of detail, right? We see all the sales trends and orders and returns. We see a massive spike in returns here and some drill downs about the products that people are returning. Well, what we don't get from Tableau is the opportunity to know right there in the view that we are familiar, the product explorer. We can't say which ones are selling the most just by looking at this, right? And I don't want to go perhaps to a dashboard. I think this is the view that makes more sense. So those little dollar signs are something we are overlaying in the web application, and that data is coming on the fly in real time from Headless BI. So the moment I load, I know that Dynamo X4 is the best selling bike. And I have some really bad, like I have the Volt X3 who are not selling a lot. So we use the dollar here to say where are the most profitable products and the least profitable products. So if I really want to see and make a change and improve my sales, I might want to look at yeah, those products that are being returned. Maybe we're not making too much money with them. And yeah, as we can see here, the Volt, all the Volt X bicycles aren't performing very well. They are returned. Maybe there is a manufacturer defect. So yeah, right there you have Headless BI showing up stuff at the top and front and center. Um, you might have a view where you actually allow people to navigate and drill down to data embedded in the application. But another very important use case, oh, I don't know why this hasn't rendered, but ignore about that right now. This one on the right-hand side, this is also powered by Headless BI. You can create alerting systems, right? So in this case, we're actually showing here an alert when someone navigates to this page saying, "Oh, look, actually, today we had 21 returns for this bike." So maybe this bike is also suffering from the same issue as the Volt bikes. And you can think and you can extrapolate that if this is such an important use case for you, your data source contains information that could be used for triggering alerts that need people to take action in real time. You could be taking this data and sending an SMS, right? Sending this to the store manager, the store owners, and the supply department to have a look before customers start complaining, right? So this is a really powerful use case of Headless BI. Right, so let's come back here. Hopefully you saw the power of the API. So how do we actually do it? How do we use this API? I'm going to show you a little bit more of how you get your hands on pretty soon. And yeah, what you notice is this is really a programmatic way to get access to the published data sources, right? You're going to be writing code. And soon you see why Agentforce is so cool, because in the end, who wants to write code? Although it's cool writing code, but what if the machine can write code for us? So we'll get there, but for now, yeah, you can do it. And in applications like I showed, it makes sense that you do it. It's a robust API with endpoints that will give you the possibility to see all the fields in your data, as well as yeah, to decide which data you want back. And yeah, you don't depend on user interface. Like I said, you can create a background task that looks at alerts and sends messages, and there's no user interface. It's all background stuff. So that could be really powerful. Right, so how do we do that? So I'm gonna be using Postman. And Postman, for those who are familiar, is it's a tool you can use. There are many others, but Postman allows people to test APIs. It's very easy, very quick. And if you happen to go with Postman, we offer collections for all our APIs. We have the Tableau API collections, the REST API, etc., etc. One of them is the Headless BI. And so what you can do with this, you can click on it, and we give you examples of how to connect and query the data with the API. So all you need to do is, in this case, this is the read metadata is one of the endpoints. I have already configured this environment here to point to my data source. If you don't have to go through this in detail, but I have the authentication details and all that, and I'm pointing to Superstore. I have a data source on my Tableau Cloud site. This will be available for server as well, which is amazing. But yeah, on my site, I have this data ID, and I want to get all the fields back. And there we go. You just run that, and now you know what calculated fields we have, the profit ratio, the data types. We have categories, subcategories. I guess you guys know Superstore, right? So the collection was built in a way that now you can query it, and you have examples. Like, how do you do a simple query? So you just click, and you can see the body here, the example. So what if I want the total sales by category, broken down by category? And then you click try, and it's going to send a request, and you're going to get a response back, total sales by category. If you want to see by subcategory, if that's the field name, you just change it there. So this is literally what I did in Excel, right? In Excel, I wrapped some code in a way that it's a function that it's accessible to users so they can type the field name and the aggregation right there. So the other thing that we can do is, for example, functions. I want to see the sum of sales. This is a function that Tableau offers, right? The types of aggregation out of the box. The mean, the max, sum, average, counts. All these things are here. But if you want to run to create your own calculations that doesn't exist in the data source, that's the really cool thing about Headless BI, that you can define your aggregation on the fly, right there. So you can say, I have a field called profit, I have the orders. If I divide the total profit by the number of orders, I get an average order value. And yeah, just run, and you get this data back. Like I said before, if you want to do the aggregations, you can customize this like this and say, I want another field. I want to break this down by region, and that's it. So hopefully, yeah, this will give me the average order value in each region, so I can see that West is the best region. People are spending the most money there. So yeah, that's it. Examples about top filters are there. How you do the top 10 filters by state, the best states with the highest profit margins and all that. So yeah, I hope this is useful. How you get your hands on? Well, you don't, because we finished the developer preview. So right now you don't get your hands on, but you can definitely take a picture of, on the left-hand side. The right-hand side isn't working right now, but the left-hand side is the documentation, which we are finalizing now for the final version, and it should be out in a few weeks. Caveat about the forward-looking statement, but yeah, the developer preview is over. Hopefully, in a few weeks, we'll be releasing the final version. There will be some slight differences from the document, but the majority is the same. So what I wanted to say is, I mean, this is incredibly powerful, right? I mean, there's no question about it. And there's no question that you can build applications and background jobs, but you have to know that this is code, and you have to know, right, how to write that code, right? There is a pattern, right? The field caption you want, the aggregation you want. But what if you want to bring that experience into a conversational interface where you can run on any app? Like, what if you have an app that is a banking app where you want to show a little and allow people to make analytical questions for the data that is powering this dashboard, right? So how do we do that? So that's how Agentforce comes into the picture. Agentforce makes it very easy for you to bring all the data you want, including data from Tableau, including data from the new Tableau and the current Tableau, right? The Tableau that you all guys are using. So I'm going to invite Tim now back to tell us how this is done. How do we actually integrate it? Over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alex. So let me share my screen. Right. So how do we tie what we've just seen with Headless BI and all that code with Agentforce to get Salesforce Agentforce to communicate with Tableau? So I'm going to run you through a very quick scenario of how we're going to sort of think about this. Imagine we're a busy CEO, busy exec, and we're rushing to a meeting and we want to know our sales by region. It's a really simple question. We can use an agent, very similar to what Alex has just showed you there. What are my sales by? The agent replies back to this. We can embed this anywhere. It could be part of Slack. We could integrate it with a website. He doesn't need to go into a Tableau dashboard. He doesn't need to create anything, just simply asking human readable questions. So how do we go about doing that with Tableau? So our question, what are sales by region? If we shout that at Tableau, we're going to get back confusion because Tableau has no idea what that means. You know, I've tried shouting at Tableau at my screen all the time. I don't get good results. And what we've seen is we need something in the middle of that to translate our question into Tableau, and that is the VDS query. So there's our VDS query that we need to code. Now, obviously, if this CEO exec could write this VDS query on the fly and just knew how to do that, he wouldn't have any need for, you know, worrying about anything. But there we go. We need to translate this question into the VDS query so that we can send it to Tableau to get the answers. So we know there needs to be some sort of LLM involved here as well, because we're trying to use you know, an AI to sort of work out what's going on. So if we just go to somewhere like ChatGPT, for example, and shout, what are my sales by region? Well, again, we'll get confusion because the LLM in ChatGPT or whatever we may be using has no idea what your sales are, what your regions are. It could give you any information. So we know we kind of need to involve all parties. And the way we talk to our LLM is via a prompt. So if you go to ChatGPT and you enter some information, effectively that's what's called a prompt. And that is giving information to the LLM to be able to then give you information back again in a sort of meaningful way. So we know we need to create a prompt. And we know we're going to get information back from the LLM. But we also need information from Tableau. So once we start getting information from and to Tableau and from and to our large language model to be able to answer this question, what are my sales by region, we're going to have to build a lot of code. We're going to have to write a lot of code. Now, it can be done. Of course, there are custom solutions out there and people who get involved with code and writing their own agents and, you know, writing their own models there. Absolutely, they can get done. But really, if you're sort of, you know, looking for a quicker way, there are better ways, because ultimately this could still lead to a lot of confusion unless you have the ability to write all of that complex code. And this is where Agentforce sits, and it takes all of that code writing to be able to sort of communicate with all of these various different parts into one simple thing. And this is sort of how I picture Agentforce in my head. So here we have Agentforce, and showing you in the middle of this one agent called Tableau. Now we could have multiple different agents, hundreds of different agents within Agentforce. And we're just going to look at this one agent called Tableau. And as part of an agent, and this particular agent called Tableau, we can have what we call topics. So we might have a knowledge-based topic, or we might have an analytics topic, or we might have an escalations topic. And within each of those topics, we have actions. So where we have the lines going backwards and forwards to Tableau and from Tableau into our LLMs, effectively, those are the flow charts of the topics that we sort of run together. So the question, what are my sales by region? Agentforce is going to look at that and go, okay, it looks like something that Tableau could help us with, pass to this particular agent. It's going to look at that and go, well, that looks like an analytical sort of topic. So we're going to look at the Tableau analytics here. So Agentforce is already doing some reasoning in the background. It's already knowing, it's sort of parsing what we've got in here, and it's sort of understanding and going, okay, this looks like it's going to be the analytics topic for Tableau, and then it will then start us through that flow of the various different actions that need to take place. So we ask Agentforce, and Agentforce does the rest. So what are the things that we actually need to pass into Agentforce so that it kind of has an understanding, really? And the first thing is that prompt. We need that sales. What are my sales by region? We're going to need that. We need the spec of VDS. So in order for our LLM to generate code for us, it needs to know the format of that code. So we need that question and we need the spec. Now, thankfully, our VDS spec is using something called OpenAPI. Now, OpenAPI is a way of showing people's API publicly. And in our case, our VDS spec is on OpenAPI. So we can just read from OpenAPI so that when changes get made, we are getting the latest version of that VDS spec. So we need to bring that as part of the prompt as well. We also need the metadata from Tableau because we need to know what fields are in our data source. So we're asking sales by region. Have we got a field called region? Have we got a field called sales? Maybe it's a capital S that we need to pass through in our prompt to be able to get that through. So we need to get that metadata. So that's a query to Tableau's metadata, as Alex showed you in his postmap. And then once we've got all of that information, we can ask our LLM to generate that VDS code. So we're just asking this question, but we're pulling in various other bits and pieces. We're sending all of that to our LLM, and that's going to then give us the result of our VDS query. And then once we've answered that VDS query, we can do our next action, and that is to use our LLM generated JSON, and we're going to call Tableau's VDS API, and we're going to get results back from that. And the results we get back from that is a JSON body. And again, that's not going to be particularly useful for you, Mr. Exec, who's going in there. What are my sales by region? Okay, you can read it, but it's not particularly pleasant. So what Agentforce also does for us is formats all of that. It knows that that's JSON. It knows that, the structure of that. So it formats the results and it returns that to the end user. So what we've got going on there, happy user, they've got the results. So really it is what are my sales by region? It passes to Agentforce. It goes through that topic of analytics. It then goes through the actions that it need to do with that prompt and gives the results back. So that's kind of what's going on in Agentforce. And I'm now going to sort of break down in the scary demo god section to sort of run you through what this looks like inside Salesforce. So here we have our embedded web portal. I'm signed in as Tim, and we've got our agent button here. Now this, I say, is all live now. We've got no trickery, no videos up our sleeve. And it comes back, hey, I'm my service agent, how can I help you? What are my sales by region? And that's going off and doing exactly what I've just shown you in that flow chart. That agent is now taking that information, it's building that prompt, it's pulling in the spec that we need, it's sending it to, in our case, a ChatGPT Omni Mini model. It's collecting that data, it's generating the VDS query, it's then sending that VDS query back to Tableau. And as Alex says in the chat, yes, the drum is rolling, the bot is responding, and fingers crossed on the demo gods, we get it back. Here are my sales by region. Is there anything else we need help with? So here we now have the fully completed. We have Agentforce inside Salesforce, inside our embedded scenario, where we are linking up what we've just seen in Headless BI using an agent to actually give us results. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this and sort of talk about how we're sort of generating that. And the first thing we're going to talk about is that prompt and that generating that VDS query. So when I sort of put in that bubble, we've got a detailed prompt. This is our prompt. So we're telling the LLM who we are. We are an expert writing API bodies for Tableau's Headless API. The Headless BI query is a JSON object that contains two fundamental components. Columns, filters, if we're using filters, pay close attention to contexts. Ultimately, we're sort of saying, build us what we're asking for and bring it back in what we call the JSON payload. So once it goes out, the LLM is knowing that it needs to return our body as a JSON payload. We're talking about make sure that you don't hallucinate field names. Only bring the field names in that we're going to get from the metadata. Don't try and do too much with a query. So we're really giving quite a verbose instruction set to the LLM, in our case, OpenAI GPT-4 Omni Mini. That's our model within Agentforce, we can easily swap and change between, various different models that we've got. Again, it makes that development really easy, that everything's sort of there for you. The last few things we need: user input. So that's our user input. We've got a bit of code because we need to read the metadata, so that we're reading that metadata in there. Now, as we said, we can get that API format, that schema from OpenAPI. As Alex said, we're in the flux at the moment of updating and changing and rolling this out. So unfortunately, we've not been able to do this on the fly, but here is our VDS spec that I've just hard coded inside our prompt there as well, so that the LLM knows what our prompt is. And the last thing is few shots, which is a concept within LLM and prompt management and sort of prompt engineering, which basically gives some examples. So you can give some examples of certain questions and what that would actually look like as kind of almost like some sort of low-key training data for the LLM as well. So once we've got all that information, that's our prompt there. We could test the inputs. So what are my sales by region? Just going to enter a quick session ID there as well. And this is now just doing that prompt template. So where we talked about the prompt, this is what it's doing. And this is what it's returned here. The user has requested sales segmented by region. To fill this request, we'll include the sales column aggregated using the sum function and the region column to categorize the data. And this will provide a comprehensive view of the sales across regions. And there it gives our JSON payload ready to be able to send to VDS. So this is, as we said, OpenAPI, ChatGPT-4 Omni Mini, generating this based on the prompt that we've actually got here. Now, once we roll that into what we call our agent, and here we've got our Tableau agent here. So this is exactly the same as what we've just sort of showed you. This is our agent. And as I said, it's got topics. So we have two different topics. We've got a general FAQ topic and a Tableau analytics topic. And if we open that in Agent Builder, you can see here are our different topics here. And if we click onto Tableau analytics, you can see our actions. We've got those two actions: is generate the VDS query. That was our first action. And the second action is to query data source using that generated query. So we can start to see how we can use those flowcharts with our agent to sort of build up that conversation. So now we've got a sort of conversation preview, how we can sort of test our agent. Show me sales by region. So again, we'll use the same question, and now we can start to see what's sort of really going on in the background of these various different steps as we sort of step through Agentforce, now going from this thing that we sort of asked in the sort of front end in the embedded to each of the individual steps that the agent is actually taking along the route as well. So he knows that we've gone to Tableau Analytics. That's our topic. We know we've got the instructions to say always run generate VDS query first. After generate VDS query, run the VDS query data source. So it knows in which order these actions are going to happen, and then it's run the two actions, and those are the generate VDS query and the query data source. So our first action is our input query, show me sales by region, and the output we got was as we saw in Prompt Builder there, that block of JSON with the reasoning behind why it's actually built that. And the second step is query our data source. Here is when we actually pass in this user query that we had from the previous step, and we actually get our response back in that form of JSON. So the agent is now responding. Here is the sales by region formatted all through. So there is Agentforce live showing you all of those steps we saw in that flow diagram. So this is a very sort of simple agent that we've built here just to query data source. So the last thing that I sort of want to show you is a more fully fledged out agent. And this agent now is called our Tableau Champion agent. And this has got a lot more topics going on, a lot more information. So this not only has the Tableau analytics to query the VDS, but it's also got a whole load of other information that we've brought in. And actually this agent was kind of designed for almost like a center of excellence, so that you can actually put agents in your internal platforms to help people understand how to build Tableau information, build Tableau dashboards, how to help get queries on instructions on how do I do an LOD calculation, for example. So we could ask something. I need help building a sales dashboard, which is to be used for forecasting. So we're now going to ask our agent, okay, we need help building. Where do we go? Where do we go? What are the steps? So this might just be, a new user of Tableau coming to, an expert in, in Tableau and saying, what are the steps I need to take? Again, we're using an agent now to go through, review a load of PDFs, look at a load of best practices that we've already preloaded into Salesforce. And it's now coming through a step-by-step region, ensure the dashboard provides detailed insights into sales performance by design, market area, sales impact, hide worksheets until they're needed, performance optimization, technical debt management. And it tells us where it's got all that information from as well. So it's brought it back from designing efficient workbooks on a PDF. So in this example, it's gone for designing best practices topic, because again, the agent reasoned that was what it was needed. So let's say we've gone off and we've developed a dashboard. We can now say, okay, that's great, it worked, but now I need help with a level of detail calculation, specifically guidance on which type of use in syntax. So now we're going off, it's now going to figure out, okay, you're going to need some help around LOD calculations, I guess. It's going through, the agent is then going, okay, which is the best topic that we're going to look for here? And here we've got troubleshoot Tableau calculations. So it's gone through and here's some syntax, identify the specific business question, understand the scope of your definitions, fixed, independent of the view, include adds dimensions. So it's again, giving you some really useful help. So actually your first port of call is grounded response in information that your CFE can just upload that information, and the agent is now pulling all of this through. It could be something as simple as, okay, that's great. What are the latest features of Tableau? I'm specifically interested in authoring improvements in Tableau Cloud, for example, because we roll out lots of updates in Tableau Cloud, and unless you're on top of all of the information that comes out, it might be something you missed. So simply asking an agent, okay, what are the latest features specifically around maybe the authoring experience? And again, the agent's going to look at this and go, you know what, we're going to look at the Tableau Champs agent general FAQ. And it's gone through, and you can see where it's got information from. It's gone through our tableau.com. It's gone out to our website, products, new features, and it's gone through and it's given us our new features: Tableau Cloud Manager, Tableau Viz extensions, spatial parameters, custom domains, improve web authoring features, format the color and opacity of reference bands, for example, access content menus for caption boxes. Whatever is in our release notes, we are now allowing the agent to bring that and sort of surface them. And again, we can just use that in exactly the same agent as potentially we've got a dashboard, show me the top data sources in the sales project and the number of times they were accessed. So again, this is now where we're going to leverage that same VDS concept. And we're now going to ask actual data. So maybe our teams, want to see what are our best, workbooks, what are our best data sources being used in our Tableau estate. Again, this is now using VDS as what we've shown you before, to ask those same questions of that agent. This is all sort of bringing this through now, and this should go off and get all of the information on one of our internal Tableau sites. And there we go. Here are our orders EU Superstore. That was our most used data source app, EU sales overview, company sales data, for example. So these are the data sources that have been accessed most frequently within that sales project. So you can really start to use Agentforce for use for Tableau, for use of lots of information, as well as using it for the VDS information that he showed you as well. So again, this is without writing any code. This is Agentforce generating code when it needs to, or it's searching semantics. So all of this is available for you, and it's how we can sort of use Agentforce with existing Tableau and in your existing Tableau estate. So with that, I'm going to hand back over to Alex, who will wrap things up for us.
Thank you, Tim. Wow, this is just incredible. I mean, there's no limit, right? The moment you add Agentforce, you can literally bring back anything you want from any information from any source. So yeah, so just to wrap up, I mean, this is all possible, obviously, because of Agentforce. If it wasn't Agentforce, as Tim alluded to, I mean, you certainly can use the, let's say, DIY long chain and all the incredible tools that are available in the market, and you can probably build something similar. But with Agentforce, it's literally right there, right? We point to a LLM, we create a prompt, we can pass inputs to the prompt, we can use flows within Salesforce to actually capture the data from the user interface, send this data to the prompt, and do all the orchestration and send to the LLM, think and check the quality of the outputs. Is it working with confidential data? Is there some toxicity? So Agentforce is also taking care that it's only showing what's supposed to show. So there's no leaks, no bad words coming out and things like that. Yeah, but from the Tableau perspective, really this shines if you combine it with Headless BI and the VDS API, because you can literally query the data source on the fly, and you don't have to write code, right? It writes the code for you. In this example from Team asking what are the most popular data sources, there is a data source that comes with your Tableau Cloud site, for example, the admin sites data source, which pretty much has all the data about the traffic and usage of your site. So you could point to that one. So the agent can decide, is this question more appropriate to the sales data source or to the admin insights data source? So it also has this level of intelligence to, by looking at the metadata and the definitions of the various data sources, it can kind of make a decision what's the most interesting one. So yeah, that's about it. We just want to, this is scratching the surface. This is next gen stuff coming onto our hands. It's amazing to be part of this change. So yeah, again, I just want to see what you guys are going to be building. Those folks who have Tableau Plus license, if I'm not mistaken, they have access to Agentforce. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, you guys can get going pretty quick. So yeah, I think we have 15 minutes for questions. And yeah, what questions do we have? Let's unmute. You guys can come in and speak. This is a really small audience. Yeah. So who's gonna be the first? Or comments? Doesn't need to be questions. Any first impressions would be cool to hear.
It was so informative. I'm just trying to gather everything together. Thank you for a really nice presentation. And about the Armenian surnames, yeah, all of us have like the same ending in our surname. So whenever you want to know the person, whether he's Armenian or not, you can just take a look at their surname. Like even Kim Kardashian shows her Armenian identity with this final 3 words. So yeah, thank you. So here we have a question in the chat.
Okay, yeah, I'll field that one as I've just read that one. So yeah, absolutely. Agentforce is based on a model of our choosing. We can choose any model we want. So you're absolutely.
Do you mind reading the question, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, 2 questions. As I understand Agentforce based on the model that you choose. So if I'd chosen a model that understands other languages, I can ask my question in another language. So yeah, absolutely. I think most of the models do work best in English. I know we've certainly tried it in different language. I think you've certainly had it working in Brazilian, haven't you, Alex, to be able to work that. Also within Salesforce as well, you can do a preview language. So on the prompt screen, where I sort of showed you how to showed you that we were using the Omni Mini. You can also preview that in different languages. So when you're coming back, you can ask the agent to always respond in different languages. So absolutely, Agentforce kind of got language translation and understanding language sort of based and sort of baked and based in. But obviously that does rely on the LLM understanding that, but of course you can change that as you will. I think the Omni Mini is probably the best one we found for generating VDS queries. It's kind of the good one for coding. Undoubtedly there's a better model for different languages, again, that you can start to combine all of those too as well. So, you could always have a flow that says, take this information in whatever language it is, translate it to English to send to the Omni Mini to create the code and bring it back and do the translation. So yeah, the world is your oyster when it comes to that.
All right, no more questions. Is anyone using Agentforce at all? Or Headless BI? Has anyone tried? Maybe not.
Not yet, but I think you gave some great ideas to start thinking about using Headless BI. So yeah, maybe someday we will do the presentation and see.
Yeah, there was another user group where one of the participants showed how they created some sort of like movie library, a library website where you can, search anything about books, and he has a data source with all the ratings and all the information, and he created his own mini app. That was one of the use cases. Someone actually showed, I think it was a Tableau partner, showed how to search information inside the Tableau portal in a much better way. So actually, what they were doing actually became a hackathon project, and Tableau is actually considering bringing the Headless BI, that feature, into the a possible future version of Tableau, because today when you search for the workbook name, sometimes you get something really wrong, right? So he was able to capture all the information about the fields of data sources and workbooks and all these things. So made the Tableau portal search way better. So yeah, that might come up in a minute. Who knows? In a few weeks or months, or yeah, if it comes up. There's another question there. If I'm using Tableau Server, will it be possible to integrate Agentforce to my apps? What do you think, Jim? I mean, Headless BI will be available for server soon, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the fact that Headless BI is available, as long as you have a route from the outside world to be able to communicate with your Tableau server, then you'll be able to use the sort of VDS techniques that we've shown you with Agentforce to do that. Just with the authentication, and the server would obviously need to be accessible to the outside world to be able to do that. That's kind of the only caveat. But because VDS is coming to server, which is a kind of a really, really good to hear. Yeah, I don't see there'd be any problems there at all.
Well, that's good news, because in Armenia, most of the clients are using server-based Tableau. And yeah, it would be nice to have this option in Tableau server as well.
Yeah, we were super happy to hear finally one of the new features coming both to server and cloud at the same time. So that's cool. Hopefully that doesn't change.
Quite nice. I guess there are no questions left in the chat. Yeah, that's it. So thank you so much, Tim and Alex. We are very grateful for having you this 1 hour, super informative, super interesting, I would like to say workshop, not just presentation. So thank you so much for your time, for your efforts. And of course, I'm going to publish this video for further references, so more people will be able to see this. And I'm really thankful, and thank you once more.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, really cool, and looking forward to for the next. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you. Anna.
Thank you.